Welcome to another episode of Shiz and Giggles, our weekly wind-down podcast where we talk about anything and everything. My name is Izzy, and I will be your host today, but I am never alone. My first co-host is a lover of all things true crime, a Taurus sun and moon, and puts hot sauce and sriracha on everything. Let this girl spice up your life. It's Demi.
Hey, Izzy.
Hey, Demi. Happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. You look like you're in an igloo right now.
Chilling. Had to cool off a bit. It's getting a little too hot outside. All right. Well, I am so glad to have you here today. My second co-host, this is actually her first time on Shiz and Giggles. We got a newcomer. She is a self-proclaimed food enthusiast who loves to try new recipes. Growing up in a multi-ethnic household, she often helped her family prepare delicious cuisines from around the world. Over time, she developed a sophisticated palate for the most delectable foods. It's India.
Hi, Izzy. Hi, Demi. Thank
Hi.
you for having me.
Hi, India.
Welcome to Shiz and Giggles. We are so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get things started. Let's kick off this week by talking about a trending topic. This week, Broadway is back, baby. The city that never sleeps is back to 8 shows a week starting in September. New policies include wearing masks in the theaters and showing proof of vaccination. But our classic favorites like Phantom of the Opera and Wicked are set to hit the theaters this fall, with new works like Diana and MJ the Musical making their debut as well. So, I would like to ask my co-hosts and people watching, have you ever been to a Broadway show?
I have been to a Broadway show. When I was in high school and did show choir and theater, we went about once a year for trips, and it was so much fun. And I got to see Phantom of the Opera one time on Broadway, which is probably still by far my favorite show.
That's awesome. I've never been to an actual Broadway show. I've been to like off-Broadway shows or like Broadway tours around the country in like Norfolk. But hopefully, possibly this October, I might be seeing my first Broadway show. So
Very nice. Like Demi, I went to Broadway shows every year in high school, but the one experience I remember is going with my grandmother and my sister to see The Color Purple in Broadway for the first time. It was amazing.
Wow, that does sound really nice. Yeah, I've been to New York City a few times, still haven't seen a Broadway show, but it will happen. Manifestation.
Speak it into existence.
Definitely. So do you guys have a favorite musical?
Well, so far, mine would just be The Color Purple because that's the only one I've seen in person.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Phantom of the Opera is just the one that stuck out to me the most. I also saw Jersey Boys, which was really good. And then we normally saw one musical and then just one normal show. So it was kind of back and forth, but Phantom of the Opera just stood out so much because it was such a great show. Truly. And Heather in the comments said Edward Scissorhands.
My favorite show is probably Chicago, but there's definitely many that I want to see that might take that place, especially Moulin Rouge, the musical. And I really want to see the Beetlejuice musical if it ever comes back.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, and speaking of which, what is one show that you both have been dying to see, or the audience?
I think that I would go and see Moulin Rouge, and then I would probably see a couple of shows that I've already seen. So I saw Anastasia.
Ooh,
And
that's a
that
good
was
one.
it just reminded me of my childhood, and it was amazing. So I'd probably go see that one again.
I would probably go take my younger sisters to New York to go see The Lion King on Broadway. I hear it's so good. I know they would really enjoy it.
Well. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anyone from the audience? Nope. Oh, we have Edward Scissorhands. I actually did not know that was a Broadway show. I've seen the movie many, many times. Didn't know it was a Broadway show. You find something new every day.
Okay.
Yeah, that actually, I would really like to see that. All right. Well, I could talk about Broadway for hours. However, I think it's time for segments. So let's move on to our first segment. Here's a tip with Demi.
Hi, everyone. So, for today's Here's a Tip, I am going to be giving you tips and tricks about Broadway. So, for my first tip, you want to plan your shows. So, something that's really important is if you want to see a specific show, you should buy your tickets ahead of time. That way, you get the seat that you want in the audience. You can sit with your family and friends if you go with them, and you know exactly what you're going to see. But if you're trying to save a little bit of money and you don't really care about where you sit or what you see, you can always go to a tickets booth. They're in the middle of Times Square. It's the picture on the right hand side. So you can go, and they're normally on the cheaper side because it's a ticket for the day of. And it's honestly, you get to see so many good shows. Something they did say to do was to ask if the original cast was going to be performing that day, because you do have the chance of seeing the understudies. The shows are normally still good, even with the understudies, but you do want to make sure you ask that question. So, next, whenever you go to a Broadway show, you always want to make sure that you dress right. So, if you scan the QR code, you can go to the Broadway dress code from the website where I got these general tips and tricks. So, nowadays, luckily, jeans and a nice top are acceptable, but you want to follow some general guidelines with this. So, for jeans, they have to be dark wash with no holes. For shoes, you should always wear a nicer pair of shoes and not athletic tennis shoes, but you're probably going to be walking a lot in New York, so make sure they're comfortable. Don't wear hats or hairstyles that will obscure anyone's view. And last but not least, avoid wearing too much perfume or cologne within the theater. That way, a lot of people's cologne can mix together. Some people are allergic or super sensitive, and you don't want to obscure people's attention around you for the show that they paid to watch. Last but not least, you should plan ahead. So, planning ahead comes in the place of deciding when you're going to go to your show and how you're going to get there. So, it's smart to show up about 15 minutes early just so that you can check in, do coat check, or grab snacks if you need to. And in order to do this, you should plan if you're going to walk, take a subway or metro, or get a taxi into the city. So, walking is always smart because you typically aren't going to run into any traffic while you're there. And the metro is pretty similar. A taxi is always give or take because traffic in New York is absolutely insane.
That New York City traffic.
So it says that if you're able to walk, you should definitely walk. That's what we did every time we were in New York. And it was honestly, I had so much fun doing it. So for my quick question before we wrap this up, what is both of your favorite ways to travel while in New York City?
I'm gonna be honest. I've only ever traveled around New York by foot or on a coach bus, and I can tell you out of those two, which one's my favorite and which one is my least favorite. Walking, definitely prefer. Traveling through New York City in a coach bus is terrifying, and you're stopped in traffic for majority of the time. So walking, I think, is best. I haven't actually. I have been on the do they call it the metro in New York?
I'm not 100% sure. I call it the
Subway?
metro, but some
Yeah, I
people call it the
metro.
subway.
Yeah, I know metro is kind of a DC thing, but I
Yeah.
know the subway. I've been on the New York City subway twice, and it wasn't bad, honestly. It was very empty. I don't know if it was just where we were going or the day that it was, but it was pretty like simple,
hmm
less complicated than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I definitely prefer to walk around NYC more than anything else. It's definitely faster. Totally agree with Demi.
I always feel like you find more interesting places when you walk too. Like you
For
walk
sure.
past a bunch of really cool stores that you can stop into super fast.
Yeah. And now they have like the city bikes and the city scooters, so that makes it
Yeah,
even more fun.
the birds and the limes. Well, Heather says that the Paris subway is apparently insane. I did not even know that Paris had a subway, so
Yeah. Is it
I
called the
just thought
Bullet?
they had.
Crazy.
Yeah,
They have all those like off-brand bags that they make, so like fake Louis Vuitton, like fake designer bags, and people stand in the like metro station and they hop over the like guard areas to get into the train to sell it. I saw someone actually get caught by police and he was running away with all of his stuff, and they try to stop you and it's super hard to find anywhere to go. Everything's in French, but
I didn't know that they're underground. That's crazy. I just thought there was catacombs and like graves and stuff. I didn't think they had a subway system. That's pretty cool. The subway doors don't self-close. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Wow. All right.
That sounds like a lot of germs too.
Yeah, apparently Paris needs to get on the New York City level. All right. Well, thank you so much, Demi. We're going to move on to our next segment and India's first segment on Shiz and Giggles for Tasty Fridays.
Welcome to Tasty Fridays and my first segment on Shiz and Giggles. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you. So for today's Tasty Fridays in the theme of Broadway, I wanted to sample with you all some typical treats that you would find at a Broadway show. So the first one that we have is the classic milk dud. I'm going to show you this little baby milk dud here. So milk duds were originally made in the 1920s during the Great Depression. I definitely didn't even know that's a great fact. So the candy was originally supposed to be round. It's supposed to be a little small chocolate ball, but the candy ended up being like this oval shape here.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the production workers called it a dud, and it kind of looks like a dud, and the name stuck. And so the Hershey company that we know now called it a milk dud. So we can go ahead and taste test this. I'm pretty sure we all know it's delicious, very chewy.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about milk duds, I actually lost a tooth while chewing on one in the movie theaters. It was very loose, and I don't know why I thought milk duds would be a good idea, but I didn't even feel it come out. I was just chewing and all of a sudden just bit down on my tooth.
Wow. Milk duds are very like nostalgic for me because it's my mom's favorite movie candy. So as a kid, when we used to go to the movie theater, she always had milk duds with her because, you know, we would stop by Dollar Tree first, grab our milk duds and our other candy and pack it in the purse before going. So I love them.
Yeah, we definitely used to pack snacks in my mom's bag growing up too. So the next topic is cake pops. And for first, I just want to show you how cute is this. This is adorable. The cutest little cake pop I've ever seen, right? So the cake pop
from?
This I picked up from Starbucks.
That is really cute.
They have a vanilla, chocolate, and birthday cake. This is the vanilla one.
Oh, nice.
So cake pops, the ones that we've all come to know and love, and that's a party favorite. They are formed by using cake crumbles that are mashed into like a little ball, dipped into frosting, and then set. So this is what we have here. I'll just do like a little taste. I'll take the air off. Very good. Highly recommend.
I love cake pops.
I do too.
Yeah, Jasmine Williams says the Starbucks cake pops are so good. Jasmine, what is your favorite?
I know that last week Andrea and I got chocolate cake pops from Starbucks, which I love because they taste like cake batter. Because the way they smush them, I guess, the flavor that comes out is amazing.
So good.
I did cake pop decorating as a birthday party in middle school, and we had brownie cake pops.
Wow.
They were so good. Highly recommend.
Jasmine said her favorite is vanilla.
Oh, that's the one I have. We can share.
Sharing is caring.
Yes, absolutely. So the last treat for the Tasty Fridays segment is blondies. Absolutely love them. You know, it'll be perfect with this vanilla ice cream.
Oh,
So
yes.
just top it off with some caramel syrup. It'll be great. So the first brownie was actually not a brownie at all. It was literally a tasty treat sweetened with molasses that we know now as a blondie that dates back to the 1800s.
Wow.
Right?
That's crazy.
So many treats, so many years.
Hey.
So I'm going to have a taste.
Busy night before.
Mm,
Did you
nice.
make these?
I did.
They're really good.
Thank you. So I'm glad you all like them.
Yes, thank you so much. That
You're
was
welcome.
a very tasty segment. Loved
You're
it.
welcome.
I definitely think that I'm gonna look most forward to India's segment every week if you keep bringing in
too.
snacks.
We have India on
Yes.
here.
I'm going to
every
bring all the treats, all the snacks.
Every week India's on, we're gonna be fighting for who gets to co-host with you.
I'll make sure to try to bring
Luckily,
things for
I plan
everyone.
the schedule, so I can just put me in India every week.
Yes, absolutely. Jasmine recommends 10 out of 10. Well,
Thank you so much
all.
for bringing in such a great treat for the office today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you so much for those fun facts. I did not know that milk duds were made during the Great Depression. So,
and they were supposed to be round.
Yeah, I can see how that was the vision and not the execution. But all right. Well, last but not least, we're going to wrap up today's episode with my segment. Let's take a trip. All right, well, for today's segment, Let's Take a Trip, I'm going to be talking all about New York City and taking a trip to Broadway. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is ways to travel to New York City, because not all of us can live in the heart of the Big Apple. Maybe one day, but not right now. So the first way is obviously by plane. If you are thinking of traveling by plane, I highly recommend Google Flights. That is how I've purchased all of my plane tickets for the past 4 years. It's a really nifty tool because it shows you a calendar and it shows you the cheapest price for each day. So it's also good if you don't know exactly when you want to go. You can just look for when the flight is going to be the cheapest.
Oh, wow.
And I actually found that the lowest ticket price from Richmond to JFK is in September and October is only around $133 round trip, which actually really surprised me. Especially since I know a lot of people are eager with Broadway opening back up. Who knows? And Jasmine says to do an incognito window so they don't hike up the prices. Also a good tip, and they won't know exactly where you're searching from. Sometimes they use that data to skew the prices too. So thank you very much, Jasmine. Our second way, and it's actually something I would do if you don't mind a long trip and maybe not the most comfortable trip, taking the bus. You can get a Greyhound bus round trip for $70 from Richmond to New York City. And if you check out this website down at the bottom, gotobus.com, it will pretty much like Google Flights show you all of the bus companies and which one's the cheapest, how long the drive's going to be, how many stops, everything like that. So highly recommend that. And most buses nowadays have plenty of outlets and everything. Heather says, Bolt Bus Baby free Wi-Fi.
Wow.
The more you know. And obviously the last way is to travel by car, which this is especially fun if you're planning on going with some friends. You can make the car trip into a big hangout, jam up to some music, play some car games, gossip. It's always the perfect time. It's about a 12-hour car ride from Richmond to New York City. So adding, subtracting if you live in between or even more south past Richmond. So plenty of options. Unfortunately, hitchhiking is illegal, so I couldn't put that on here. And the next thing we're going to talk about is where to stay. So I have some popular lodging options for everyone. The first one being Airbnb, which is obviously a very big hit right now. It's also a really nice way to find unique spots in New York. People's homes are very well decorated in New York City, and you can find some really cool places. And the second one is hostels. If you're looking for really low budget and you don't mind sharing a room with other people, hostels are a really great option. And apparently, New York City has a lot of them. So if you go to the website down at the bottom, booking.com, they will actually give you a list of the most popular hostels. And obviously, the most common one is hotels, but that can also be the most expensive one depending on where you're looking to stay. So, however, you can always check out sites like hotels.com for the cheapest prices. No, this is not an ad. But all right. And finally, we will talk about what's playing on Broadway. So we have some classics like Wicked, Hamilton, The Lion King, Chicago, and Phantom of the Opera. And then we also have some intriguing ones that aren't as popular, but we'll probably get there. Moulin Rouge, the musical, Hades Town, Jagged Little Pill, which is all Alanis Morissette's songs, so that's really exciting. And then Dear Evan Hansen, which I know is a lot of people's favorite right now. So if you head to Broadway.com, you can check out all of these shows, find some tickets. Unfortunately, a lot of them are sold out already for the month of September.
Wow.
So you might want to look into going in October. But hey, seeing Hades Town or Wicked in October as like a Halloween celebration, like some of the opera, that would be awesome. So
Aladdin sounds like
yeah,
it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite Disney movies.
Me too. I really want to see it.
I got to work with one of the choreographers for Aladdin on Broadway when I was in high school. We got to meet the choreographer and the musical director, and we went through the songs and the show with them, and they taught us what they actually did on stage, and it was so much fun. And
that is awesome.
Yeah. And actually a JMU alumni now was Aladdin about 2 years ago, I want to say, on Broadway. So it was just
wow,
that's fun.
Virginia. I love
Tell
to
them to
hear
hook us
it.
up with a ticket.
I know. I wish.
Yeah. Well, if you guys ever want to take a spontaneous road trip to Broadway, you know I'm always down. And we got our travel plans ready. India will bring the snacks.
Yes.
We're ready to go. All right. Well, is there anything else that you two wanted to talk about before we wrap up today's show?
I'm going to highlight something that Heather said in the comments actually about travel. So she said something about taking the train for travel, which is my favorite way to travel to New York. I just feel like it's so there's more room, there's less hassle with it. So I feel like it's definitely great. Heather said food, booze, and a great nap, which is always amazing.
Yes, so, it is.
Yeah, I think that's always a really good way to go too.
Yeah,
it's also a very pretty way to go too.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
The Amtrak train rides are beautiful. I really want to take the train from here to DC one day, just for the views, and then maybe go to the zoo and then come back.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Office trip.
Office trip.
I'm here for a field trip.
We all go.
Team bonding on Broadway.
Yes, we can go to my hometown.
You're from New York?
No, I'm from DC.
Oh. Well, we could go to DC too. That's probably a little bit more realistic. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being such wonderful co-hosts. So we have some tips for planning out our day on Broadway. Thank you, Demi. And we have some delicious treats from India and some fantastic ways to get to Broadway. And we hope to see you all again. We stream every Friday at 4 p.m. You can find us on the All About Presentation YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn page. If you can't make it, then no worries. We repost our episodes on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Happy Friday, everyone, and have a great weekend.